The university archives smelled like old paper and dust. Dr. Aris Thorne pulled another box from the shelf. He'd been cataloging this private collection for 3 weeks now. The year was 2024, and most of these photos had been sitting untouched for decades. The collection belonged to a photography historian who died in 1982. His family donated everything to the university. Most of it was boring. Pictures of buildings, pictures of trees, pictures of people standing very still in their best clothes. Then Aris found the glass plate negative. It was wrapped in brown paper, no label, no date, just a single photograph on glass. Aris held it up to the light. The image showed a woman in a parlor. She sat in a high-backed chair. Her dress was dark, maybe blue or green, hard to tell from the negative. Her hair was pinned up in the style of the early 1900s. Behind her stood a mirror, a large oval mirror in a wooden frame. Aris almost put the negative aside. Then he looked closer. The mirror showed a reflection, but the reflection was wrong. In the main image, the woman sat alone. Nobody else in the room, just her, the chair, a small table with a vase of flowers. But in the mirror's reflection, there was a man. He stood directly behind the woman's chair. His hand rested on the back of it. He wore a dark suit. His face was clear in the reflection. Aris checked the main image again. No man. The space behind the chair was empty. He grabbed a magnifying glass. The negative wasn't damaged. No double exposure. No obvious tricks. The woman was alone in the room, but the mirror showed a man standing right behind her. Aris brought the negative to the university's photography lab. They had equipment for analyzing old images. The technician, a woman named Sarah, examined it under different lights. "This is genuine," Sarah said. "Glass plate negative from around 1904. Based on the type and chemical composition, no signs of tampering." "What about the reflection?" Aris asked. Sarah looked again. Her face went pale. That's not possible." Aris found a small envelope tucked behind the negative's wrapping. Inside was a note written in faded ink. The handwriting was careful, precise. Portrait of Mrs. Alara Finch, taken at her London residence, March 1904, commissioned by Mr. Silas Finch. Now Aris had names. He started searching. The census records were easy to find. Alara Finch, born 1878, married to Silas Finch in 1899. They lived at 42 Harwick Street in London. One child, a daughter named Margaret, born 1900. Then Aris found the death record. Silas Finch died in January 1902. 2 years before the photograph was taken. That didn't make sense. The note said the photo was commissioned by Silas Finch, but Silas was dead when the photo was taken. Aris dug deeper. He found newspaper archives from 1902. There it was, a small article in the London Evening Standard. Local businessman Silas Finch, age 28, found deceased in his workshop. Cause of death, undetermined. Survived by wife Alara and daughter Margaret. The article mentioned that Silas was known for his inventions. He held 3 patents for mechanical devices. Neighbors described him as brilliant but obsessive. Aris kept searching. He found something else. A journal kept by a local historian named Edmund Hartwell. Hartwell lived in the same neighborhood as the Finch family. His journal from 1902 had an interesting entry. The Finch tragedy grows stranger. Young Silas was found in his locked workshop. No signs of violence. His wife claims he was working on something important. She burned all his papers the day after his death. Most peculiar, their dog, a Labrador named Barnaby, vanished the same night Silas died. The animal was devoted to its master. Mrs. Finch says Barnaby followed him, vanished without a trace. Aris read that line again. Barnaby followed him. How does a dog follow a dead man? He needed more information. The university archives had a contact list for donors' families. Aris found a name, Elspeth Finch Marlowe. She was listed as a distant relative of the original collection owner. Elspeth was 93 years old. She lived in a care facility outside London. When Aris called, she sounded sharp and clear. You found the photograph, she said. It wasn't a question. You know about it, Aris asked. My grandmother was Margaret Finch, Alara's daughter. She told me about that photo when I was young, said it was cursed. Can you tell me more? Elspeth was quiet for a moment. Come see me. Bring the photograph. Aris flew to London the next day. The care facility was nice, clean, lots of windows. Elspeth sat in a wheelchair by a window overlooking a garden. Her eyes were bright blue, alert. Aris showed her a print of the photograph. Elspeth studied it for a long time. That's him in the mirror, she said, Or that's like Silas. But he was dead when this was taken. That's what everyone believed. Elspeth rolled her wheelchair to a cabinet. She pulled out an old leather album. My grandmother kept this hidden. She gave it to me before she died. Inside were more photographs. Silas and Alara on their wedding day. Baby Margaret, the dog, Barnaby, a beautiful black Labrador. Then Elspeth turned to a page near the back. There was another photo of Silas, but this one was different. He looked older, tired. His clothes were strange. When was this taken? Aris asked. Look at the back. Aris turned the photo over. Written in pencil. SF. March 1904. The same date as Alara's portrait. My grandmother said Silas wasn't dead, Elspeth continued. She said he found something, made something. She never explained what, but she said he tried to fix things, tried to make the world better, and something went wrong. What kind of thing? She wouldn't say. But she kept one more piece of evidence. Elspeth pulled out a yellowed paper. It was a train manifest from Paddington Station, dated 2 days after Alara's portrait. The manifest listed passengers for a train to Brighton, but there was a problem. The line to Brighton wasn't built yet in March 1904. Construction didn't finish until April, and there, halfway down the list, S. Finch. How could he take a train that didn't exist? Aris asked. The same way he could be in a mirror when he wasn't in a room, Elspeth said. Aris looked at the photograph of older Silas again. Something bothered him about the clothes. They weren't just strange for 1904. They were... Is he wearing a parka? Aris asked. Elspeth nodded. Modern clothing. Like something from the 1950s or 60s, decades after this photo was supposedly taken. Aris felt cold. He looked at Alara's portrait again. This time he used Elspeth's magnifying glass. He studied the reflection more carefully. The man in the mirror was Silas, but not the young Silas from the wedding photos. This was the older, tired Silas, the one wearing impossible clothes, and there was something else. At the feet of the reflected Silas, barely visible, was a shape, dark, furry. Is that Barnaby? Elspeth confirmed. The dog that vanished when Silas died. It's in the reflection, but look at the main room, Aris looked. No dog in the actual room with Alara, just in the reflection. My grandmother, Margaret, saw this photo once, Elspeth said. She was 4 when her father disappeared. She said she remembered the day this portrait was taken. She was playing in the next room. She said her mother sat very still for the photographer, and she said she heard her father's voice. He was talking to her mother, but when she ran into the room, only her mother was there. What did he say? She couldn't remember the words. Just that he sounded sad and far away. Aris studied the photo again. Alara's face was calm, composed, but her eyes... There was something in her eyes, like she was looking at something nobody else could see. What happened to them? Aris asked. XT, after this photo? Alara never remarried. She lived quietly, raised Margaret alone. She died in 1947. Margaret said she called out Silas's name at the end. Said she could finally see him clearly. And Silas? Nobody knows. That train manifest is the last record. A man who was supposed to be dead, taking a train that didn't exist to arrive at a station not yet built. Aris thought about everything he'd learned. A man obsessed with fixing the world. A project that went wrong. A death that maybe wasn't a death. A photograph that showed 2 different realities at once. What do you think happened? He asked Elspeth. She was quiet for a while. Outside, birds sang in the garden. I think Silas found something he shouldn't have found. Or made something he shouldn't have made. I think he got stuck between places. Between times, maybe. The photograph caught him there, in that space between. That's not possible. Neither is a dead man commissioning his wife's portrait. Neither is a dog following someone who isn't there. Neither is a train that doesn't exist. Aris had no answer to that. He flew back to the university that night. He sealed the glass negative in a special container. He wrote up his findings. He filed them in the archive with a note. Anomalous photograph. Unable to explain. Do not display publicly. But he kept thinking about it. About Silas in his workshop, working on something to fix the world. About Alara, sitting for a portrait, seeing her dead husband in the mirror. About Barnaby, the dog, loyal enough to follow his master anywhere, even somewhere impossible. He thought about the train manifest, a journey to a place that didn't exist yet, or maybe a journey from a place that shouldn't exist. He thought about time, about reality, about the spaces between what we know and what we don't. The Finch photograph sits in the university archives now. Few people know it exists. Fewer still have seen it. Those who have all say the same thing. There's something wrong with the reflection, something that makes your brain hurt if you look at it too long, because mirrors are supposed to show what's there. They're not supposed to show what isn't. They're not supposed to show dead men and vanished dogs. They're not supposed to show people wearing clothes from the future. But this one does. Silas Finch wanted to fix the world. Maybe he succeeded. Maybe he failed. Maybe he's still trying, stuck somewhere between here and there, between then and now. His wife kept the photograph. She kept it until she died. She must have looked at it sometimes, seen him there in the mirror, proof that wherever he was, whatever had happened, some part of him was still with her. Or maybe that's too romantic. Maybe it's simpler. Maybe Silas discovered something about the nature of reality, something that let him step sideways out of the world, something that let him be in two places at once, dead and alive, gone and present, there and not there. The investigation ended where it began, with a photograph that shouldn't exist, with a reflection that defies explanation, with a mystery that has no solution. Dr. Aris Thorne still works at the university. He still catalogs old photographs, but now he looks at them differently. He checks the mirrors. He looks for shadows that don't match. He searches for people who shouldn't be there, because if it happened once, it could happen again. Somewhere, in someone's attic or basement, there might be another impossible photograph, another glimpse into the spaces between, another piece of evidence that reality isn't as solid as we think. The story of Alara and Silas Finch remains a historical footnote, a strange tale filed away in a university archive. Most people will never hear about it. Most people wouldn't believe it if they did. But maybe you've heard something similar. Maybe your town has a story about someone who disappeared. Maybe your family has a photograph nobody likes to talk about. Maybe you've seen something in a mirror that shouldn't have been there. Maybe reality is cracks in it. Small ones. Places where different times and different possibilities bleed through. Places where dead men commission photographs and vanished dogs follow their masters into the impossible. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe we just don't understand mirrors as well as we think we do. The photograph of Alara Finch exists. You can't see it. It's locked away. But it's real. A woman sitting alone in 1904. A dead man standing behind her in the reflection. A dog that vanished 2 years earlier curled at his feet. All of it impossible. All of it documented. All of it true. The world is stranger than we know. The Finch photograph proves it. One image. Two realities. Zero explanations. And somewhere maybe Silas Finch is still trying to fix the world. Still caught between places. Still visible only in reflections, in the spaces where reality gets thin. His wife saw him there, in the mirror, in 1904. The question is, what else is hiding in our reflections? What else are we not seeing? Look carefully next time you pass a mirror. Check the corners. Check the shadows. Check for things that should not be there. You might be surprised what you find, or maybe you won't see anything unusual at all. Maybe that's for the best.